It's Wellness Wednesday. I hope you are well where you are. Spring has sprung in Australia, and I guess it's autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, so that is a renewed beginning for some of us, or shedding of things for others. And it's nice. I do enjoy springtime, and I feel a renewed sense of energy this week with spring arriving, and that's interesting. And I'm quite proud of myself this morning because I got up and I went for my run. I did a 7K run. I dropped the kids to school. I've mopped the kitchen floor, hung the washing on the line, and dinner's in the oven. So I'm winning at life today. It's the small things that count at the end of the day. But that's been a nice start to my day, and now I can kind of settle into all the other things that I want to get done today. So I thought I'd give you a very quick update on what happened at the weekend, which was my visit down to the Burdekin region. So I had a book signing at Woods News, which was brilliant, and not so brilliant, and I'll tell you why. Then I did a well-being workshop for some ladies down there at Curves Fitness, and then I did a radio interview with Sweet FM, which was fantastic, to talk about both my current book and my coming book, The Koala Who Lost His Heart, and to chat about mindfulness and well-being in general and stuff that we can do to help ourselves. So it was a very productive day. I met a lot of really interesting people, some kind people, generous people. I also met some people who are suffering with grief and trauma, and you know, I had one lady come up to the table and she spent a long time looking at the book, and I said, please, you know, you're welcome to look through it, and she started looking through it, and I told her a few things about the book, but I didn't want to seem pushy or go into over sales mode or anything, and I thought if she wants it, you know, she will come to the conclusion on her own. And after a few minutes of quite awkward silence, really, she said, I think that I need this book. And I said, okay, that's lovely. And she said, my daughter died recently. And, you know, my heart just broke for her. And, you know, I grabbed her and gave her a hug. Social distancing, not allowed, obviously, but I did that. And I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. And, you know, I hope in some way, shape or form this book can help you a little bit. And you know, we had a moment of mothers, you know, and that was beautiful. And then she went on her way with a smile on her face, and so that made me feel happy, and I still get emotional when I think about it. But it was interesting because I had an hour and a half dedicated to the book signing, and the first 45 minutes no one wanted to stop and talk to me. And it's one of those situations where you're feeling immensely vulnerable, uncomfortable, and you know, you start to have lots of self-doubt, and you're standing there, you know, smiling at people as they're walking past, strangers, you know, wanting them to kind of stop and engage with you. And in the end, you have to put your big girl's pants on and say, hey, you know, this is my new book. Would you like to hear about it? Or, you know, have you read a good book lately? So I had to kind of have my own icebreakers and my own banter, and to get people to stop and engage with me. And then I talked about the book, and I was able to kind of, like, you know, connect with people and tell them about, you know, who's read the book, where the book has gone in the world. You know, it's not just me standing here flogging my book. My book is now live on, you know, all channels of Amazon, so then you feel like you have a bit more credibility. So it was hard work, to be honest. And you know, in those moments you think, is it best use of my time being here? But then, you know, I had an elderly man stop, and I chatted with him for quite a long time, actually, and he wasn't that interested in buying the book, but he was interested in hearing about me and my story, and he invited me to come and speak to his community group, which was beautiful. He had a few ideas for me, which I took on board, and that was lovely. And so in the end, once I managed to you know, feel not self-sabotage and to engage with people, I had several more people stop and talk and indeed buy the book. And that was lovely. And, you know, I also had a woman from Brisbane who stopped and said, oh, I had no idea that people were into this content around here. So that was kind of interesting as well, that people, you know, think that, you know, up here in the north we don't have any idea about mind, body, spirit kind of stuff. So that was nice. And we had a good laugh about all of that, and a nice chat with her. So I enjoyed that quite a lot. But this week, it's the Wheel of Wellbeing Challenge, and I'm up to week 3 already, and I have no idea where the time goes because the weeks fly by quite quickly. But this week the challenge is about the spirit, and I've had a few instances recently to think about the context of the spirit, because when I decided to write this book, I was on a quest to heal my mind, body and spirit. And I just said that, and I didn't know where that came from. It kind of came from within me that I wanted to heal my mind, body and my spirit. I didn't really know that at that stage when I made that declaration to a room full of strangers that my spirit was broken, or how to fix it, or what even it really was. And the interesting thing about using the word spirit on the title of my book, 12 Steps to an Unbreakable Mind, Body and Spirit, I get a lot of questions from people wanting to know of what faith I am, as in, you know, what religious faith do I identify as, and then they proceed to tell me that, you know, their faith and their spirit is X, Y, and Z. And I found that quite an interesting experience, actually, because you then have to start to justify, well, what is spirit to you, and what does it mean to be spiritual, and so on and so forth. And I know a lot of deeply spiritual people that are not aligned with any particular faith. And I've also been fortunate enough to travel around the world and to meet and to see different faiths and different cultures and different religions in, you know, in existence and indeed in practice. And so I've been fortunate enough to stand in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican and think this is the most beautiful place in the world. And do I want to become a devout Catholic? Yes, I do. But then I've been lucky enough to see the reclining Buddha in Bangkok and think, wow, that's the most beautiful thing in the world. Do I want to be a Buddhist? Maybe I do. You know, I've been fortunate enough to go and visit other less mainstream religions like Taoism in the southern part of Vietnam, which they have the most beautiful temples and churches, and that's a cross-section of all different religions that they have created into their own religion. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to look at religion with through lots of different lenses, and, you know, for me, you know, spirituality is about being connected to yourself and to the world around you. But in order to understand this more fully, I do what I tend to do, which is I go to the dictionary and I look at the dictionary definition of spirituality. So the dictionary definition of spirit is the non-physical characteristics of a person. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because when you stop and you think, okay, what are my non-physical characteristics? That's a huge question, and it's one of those questions, I guess, that is who am I question. Because if you sat and wrote down what are the non-physical characteristics of yourself, you might be a bit stumped initially to figure out what they are. And that was kind of an evolution that I went through as well, because I've started to understand more fully what are the non-physical characteristics of myself, i.e. what is the spiritual side of me. And the word spirit is used in many different ways. So it is the non-physical characteristics of a person. It is, they have great team spirit. You know, she is a deeply spiritual person, the Holy Spirit. They have, you know, determination and dedicated spirit. So this is the way that, you know, it's used to describe the non-physical characteristics of something. So if you understand that and you want to go about improving the non-physical characteristics of yourself, i.e. your spirit, then you have to do a little bit of soul searching. And another word for spirit is sometimes referred to as the soul. So how do you do soul searching? Well, that's very interesting as well, because I found that in this search for my soul and my spirit, you know, it was basically step 1, step 4, step 9 and step 10 of my book. And that's really where I started to explore more fully the aspects of my spirit and soul, and then that started to infuse throughout the book as well. So you know, I kind of touch on it all throughout. Firstly, it starts with journaling, understanding yourself. Secondly, it starts with appreciating yourself, your environment, the world around you. So that's gratitude. Thirdly, it starts with giving, being giving of nature, giving of yourself, giving of your time, giving of your compassion, kindness, friendship, acceptance, non-judgmental, the way you conduct yourself, the way that you treat people. And then it kind of comes back to that element of social engagement and being open and vulnerable and putting yourself out there in order to connect with people on a very deep level. So those are some aspects of spirituality which I kind of mention in my book. You know, journaling is something that has been around for hundreds of years, but it's become more popular in recent times because it allows us to kind of look into our soul and to identify the non-physical characteristics of ourselves. And that's why it's step one of my book. And I've recently created my own version of a journal which mirrors the aspect of my book, and the 12 steps are demonstrated pictorially on the back. And this journal and this book, I have a product bundle on my website which you can buy and start your 12 steps with journaling. So if you'd like that, you can go onto my bookshop and check it out. Free shipping in Australia at the moment. But you know, last week I mentioned a book that I picked up at Yungaburra, which I traded for my own book, which is this one, Extraordinary Experiences. So this describes, and I've read the first 3 chapters by Viviana Vihierson, non-physical experiences that she's had throughout her life, i.e. with the spirit world. This book I picked up yesterday called The Untethered Soul. It's been a bestseller in New York by Michael Singer. I started reading that last night, and it goes into similar aspects that are mentioned throughout my book, which is really looking at your soul, stepping away from your ego and understanding who you are and that you are not your thoughts. And we have this running dialogue in our head which helps us make sense of the world, but that's not who we truly are. So that book's quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to progressing through it. So, you know, those are some ways that we can start to understand our spirit. But then in terms of improving our spirit, lifting up our spirit, giving meaning to our spirit, that's really where, you know, the aspect of giving and gratitude comes into play, because you can use those 2 aspects which actually fundamentally improve your well-being as your pillars. When I was 10 years old, I wrote a little poem and I included it in my book. And I had no idea probably what it meant at the time, but it's called My Spirit. And it's on page 152 of the book, and it says, My spirit, I sit here watching day by day my life before me pass away. And even though no one else can see, at least I know my spirit's free. So I remember writing that on a little piece of paper, and I stuck it on the inside of my wardrobe as a 10-year-old, and no one had told me at that time what my spirit was, but somehow this poem came to me. It's stayed with me all my life. I've said it to myself kind of many times over the years, and I wanted to include it in my book. And you know, when we talk about the act of giving to improve our spirit, it's about, in giving to others, we actually give to ourselves, because we lift ourselves up. So we can use our time, you know, our money, our experience to help support and add value to others. So for me, in terms of giving, I volunteer at my children's school through the Parents and Friends Association. I'm on the board of a charity, Queensland Youth Services, so I can directly help and support the lives of young people in my community. I donate books, so I've donated this book to more than 16 libraries throughout Queensland. I also donate the book to people who tell me that they are suffering and they need you know, some help and support. I am raising funds through the sale of my koala book to help and support wildlife. And indeed, you know, one thing I love to do is when I'm cooking for myself on a Sunday, I cook extra things and I make them and give them to my friends and family, so that if I know they're having a particularly busy week, or they've had a stressful week and I'm making a cake, I'll make an extra one for someone else to enjoy. So it's just little things that don't necessarily cost us a lot, but actually mean a lot, that, you know, give you a boost and give a boost to another person, because you actually made the effort to let them know you are thinking about them and you care about them and you can see what they're dealing with. So that's you know, a nice way to be giving, and it doesn't cost a lot. So I think that's super important way to kind of, you know, to improve our own well-being as well as to improve the well-being of others. So In terms of gratitude, you know, I do a daily gratitude practice every day, and before I open my eyes in the morning on the pillow, I will, you know, bring my awareness into the room and I'll listen to the noises around me. I can hear the birds singing, and so I say I'm grateful that I woke up, I had a good sleep, I'm in a safe home in my own bed, and I get to hear the birds singing. And then I might think I'm grateful for, you know, the opportunities that I have coming to me today. I'm grateful that my children slept through the night, which has become a novelty. And I'm grateful that I'm healthy and I can go about my day as I choose. Now this year it's been interesting because we haven't necessarily had an amazing year, and everyone keeps thinking 2020 should end now and it should be 21 already and we can forget about this year. But there is still a lot to be grateful for many of us, and it's kind of finding those things to lean on on our hard days, to what we can be grateful for and what we can look as an anchor and a pillar to keep us rooted in the fact that, you know, life isn't sometimes as bad as we think it is, and in moments of hard times we can be, you know, grateful for a safe place to sleep, food to eat, and people who love us and care about us. And those are three important things to think about. So I think I might share another little poem today at the end of this, which is from step 4 of my book, and it's called, it's from step 4 is appreciation, i.e. gratitude. So I will share that poem with you today. Bear with me, sorry, I made it to the wrong page. It's on page 66, and it's I'm grateful. Thank you for my legs and for all the journeys they have led. Thank you too for my face and kisses from 2 angels, Clodagh Rose and Cara Grace. Thank you for my eyes, ears, nose and mouth to sense all the beautiful things in this place. Thank you for the food in my fridge and water in my bath, the sea, the river, the moonlight on my path. Thank you for hope, love and wonder. Thank you to the people who bring me joy and laughter. Thank you for each day that comes, a lesson, a memory, an opportunity to be aware, happy, kind and free. So that's my poem called I'm Grateful, and it's, you know, talking about my life, my family and the world around me and what I'm grateful for. So thanks for watching today. I hope you are well where you are. If you're interested in learning a bit more about the spirit, then, you know, I've identified some books that you can go to, but through improving our spirit, we improve our well-being, the non-physical characteristics of ourselves. We can do that through journaling, through gratitude, through appreciation, and through being open and vulnerable and creating healthy social engagement with people. So thank you so much. Take care. I'll post a really cool video from step 3 in the comments of this section, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.